Jesus said, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? And can any of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your span of life? And why do you worry about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not clothed like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which is alive today and tomorrow, and is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? Therefore do not worry, saying, what will we eat, or what will we drink, or what will we wear? For it is the Gentiles who strive for all these things, and indeed your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things. But strive first for the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." This is the gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Lord.
Two American cartoonists got together for man. Superman was an instant success in a world. Superman could leap tall buildings. He ran faster than a locomotive, and he could bend steel in his bare hands. Better yet, Superman was a good guy. He stood for truth, justice, and the American way. When bad guys did bad things, Superman was there to right the wrongs. And though he could have, he never did harm to the bad guys. Instead, he brought them to justice. Superman was vulnerable only to kryptonite, a material substance from the planet of his birth, Krypton. When the bad guys figured this out, Superman was imperiled. Like us, he was mortal. Even though Superman was from another planet, his mortality made him human. As such, we drew closer to him, and in the days before television, it was not unusual to see people lined up for blocks in front of the newsstands, anxious to read the next installment to learn if their hero would survive. In short, though Superman was superhuman, he also had a quality shared by humanity. He was vulnerable. He could suffer. Over time, the stories got more elaborate. Superman grew in his powers. He came to be able to lift entire planets. He could survive even the blast of a hydrogen bomb. As his powers grew, his vulnerabilities were written out of his character. In the rare instance when he did get hurt, he had the power of instant healing. An interesting phenomenon was observed by the 1980s. Superman, this incredible hero, this good guy, got boring. People lost interest. In consequence, the writers re-injected vulnerability into Superman's character, and he regained a good bit of his former stature, people once again cared about Superman. An invulnerable character, even when he is super good, lacks a quality that we humans desperately need in order to care about. We need to express gratitude, not only for the things the superhero accomplishes, but also for the adversity that he or she overcomes. Invulnerability, even when in the service of good, is not enough for us. We need to be able to express gratitude for survival itself to be meaningful. In my life, in the experiences I've had as a son, a brother, a parent, and a friend, I've been exposed to vulnerability, to tragedy, to loss. I've seen the vulnerability of humanity up close, very close. In that regard, I'm no different than any of you. My tragedies may have been more in number than yours. Your tragedies may have been greater in magnitude than mine. But it is certain that the words of Jesus apply to us all. In this world, we will indeed have trouble. And in those troublesome days, in those days of darkness and despair, it would be easy to give up and perhaps become ungrateful for life itself. Many have, as history has shown us. So I began thinking, as you may have, about the kind of God that is considered to be a loving God, and yet a God that allows suffering. All loving and suffering would seem to be very incompatible conditions. My search was motivated by a very strong internal force over which I had no control, a force that compelled me to avoid hopelessness, nihilism, at all costs. My studies brought me to an ancient Jewish story. It begins with a question. Imagine a being who is omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. The question, what does such a being lack? The answer, limitation. If you are already everything, everywhere, always, then there is nowhere to go and nothing to be. Everything that could already be, already is. And everything that could happen already has. And so it is for this reason, so the story goes in the Jewish tradition, that God created man. Without limitations, there is no story. Without a story, there is no being with a capital B. So, is it possible that God allows suffering to inhabit our immortal souls just to avoid boredom? The same way we wrote vulnerability back into Superman's character to make him more lovable? I got so frustrated that I gave up on the idea of thinking as a worthy tool to get to this bottom of the dilemma of love and suffering. I must be satisfied instead with the inescapable conclusion that existence and limitation are inextricably linked, and there is nothing we can do about it, except this: stop thinking. But I couldn't. My family and the friends that know me well are familiar with this obnoxious trait of mine to sometimes beat a subject well past the point of tolerance. I prefer to call it dogged determination. I studied on and found this passage by Lao Tzu in the Tao Te Ching. Though 30 spokes may form the wheel, it is the hole within the hub which gives the wheel utility. It is not the clay the potter throws, which gives the pot its usefulness, but the space within the shape from which the pot is made. Such is the utility of non-existence. And that's when the light went on for me. And I thought about Grace. Grace is our first grandchild. She's right over there. Grace knows nothing of Superman or ancient Jewish stories or the utility of non-existence. At 18 months, Grace has good motor skills, powers of reasoning, and a spectacular laugh that makes me laugh when I'm with her and makes me cry when I'm without her because I miss her. She fills the space within the clay the potter throws, so to speak. And when I laugh with her, I am full of gratitude for life itself, for the good and even the bad of life itself. And when I see her pictures or videos on my phone, knowing she is far away, I sometimes cry because I miss her. I miss the way she makes me feel when I am with her. But there is even gratitude in that, because I have hope that I'll see her again soon. Grace gives me hope. Moreover, she taught me something very important, something I once knew when I was her age, but that time and experience slowly camouflaged from my sight. That gratitude exists in every moment and in everything. Grace hugs a toy and then tosses it away with a big laugh. She runs to something else. Nothing but joy and happiness as she takes up something new. Soon enough, she runs back to the old toy and picks it up anew and starts the circuit all over again. She's not thinking about filling the pot, about making it useful. She's not looking for meaning beyond the moment of joy. She will lose that joy, that gratitude for life, for its own sake. She will, just as you and I have. Things get in the way. After all, we have to fill our respective pots, so to speak, with more than joy and gratitude. We have bills to pay, careers to manage, and we have to face this life as it comes at us, full of triumph and tragedy. Shakespeare's character, Hamlet, poses, I believe, the central question. A quote from Macbeth, which doubtless will be familiar to you. Hamlet asks, whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them? I'm choosing to oppose the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. I'm looking for gratitude experiences, and I think they are to be found in the little things. Watering a plant, petting a dog, bringing flowers to Shelley. Little things, like the little spaces between the notes when we sing. Without those little spaces, there wouldn't be a tune. Rather than question the meaning of life and the reason for suffering, why not fill the potter's clay with gratitude? So I'd like to close with my own expression of gratitude on this Thanksgiving Day, 2018. Many, many years ago, my loving Aunt Wilma and Uncle Don taught our family a table grace, which we sing whenever we gather, but especially on Thanksgiving Day. We stand in a circle in our kitchen, we join hands, and we sing. Perhaps you don't have a table grace, and you'd like one. I'd like to offer you this one. Pastor Sarah, would you lead us in song?
I'll sing the text that is normally printed, and then if you all will just follow me, repeating the same melody in the bowls. Lord, we thank thee. Lord, we thank thee. For our food, and our many blessings. Amen. Let's do it again. Lord, we thank thee. Lord, we thank thee. For our food, and our many blessings. Amen. We'll now go together into a time of prayer, but we're going to end our prayers this Thanksgiving Day with that same melody, so we'll come back to it at the close of our prayers. Please stand as you're able.